Welcome, traveler of the stars. You've arrived at The Infinite Scientist, where science dreams in the language of the cosmos. Tonight, we drift into a silence so deep that even light dares not whisper, into the quiet mouth of the universe. If you find beauty in the mysteries of existence, let your curiosity rest here. Subscribe and dream with us beneath the stars, far beyond the reach of any telescope, beyond the soft spirals of galaxies and the gentle dust of creation. Something moves in silence. It does not shine. It does not call attention to itself. Yet, its gravity pulls at everything nearby, stars, planets, light, even time itself. It is the universe's quietest predator, and also its most mysterious child, the black hole. Imagine a star 10 times more massive than our Sun. For millions of years, it burns with fury, fusing atoms at its heart, radiating warmth into the void. But even stars, like all living things, run out of breath. When its fuel is gone, the outward push that holds it together fades, and gravity, the patient sculptor, begins to take control. The star collapses inward, falling into itself. Its core shrinks denser and denser until no known force can resist the pull. What remains is not a star anymore, but an invisible point, a place where space and time have been crushed into a single, trembling truth. We call this the singularity, a word too simple for what it hides. Around it forms a boundary, invisible yet absolute, known as the event horizon. It is the point of no return, the edge where escape becomes impossible. Not even light, the universe's swiftest messenger, can outrun the grip of a black hole once it crosses that line. To an outside observer, light bends and slows near the horizon, fading until it disappears entirely. The black hole seems to devour it, but the truth is subtler. The light still exists, just hidden behind a veil that no eye can penetrate. In a way, a black hole is not truly hack. It is a memory made invisible, a ghost of a star that once burned bright. The universe does not destroy, it transforms. Energy and matter do not vanish but change their form, compressed into something that neither space nor time can explain. If the cosmos is a poem, black holes are its quiet pauses, the breaths between the lines. For centuries, humans refused to believe in such things. The idea felt impossible, absurd, a hole where even light cannot escape. Yet the equations of Einstein whispered otherwise. His theory of relativity suggested that gravity was not a force pulling objects together, but the very shape of space bending under mass. A black hole, then, was simply the most extreme form of that bending, a place where space curls inward so steeply that it folds in on itself. Einstein himself doubted that nature would allow such a thing, but the universe, patient as ever, proved him wrong. In the decades that followed, evidence began to appear like quiet footprints in the dark. Stars orbited invisible companions. X-rays flickered from unseen centers of galaxies. Space itself trembled with the faint ripples of merging black holes. Waves of gravity reaching Earth after traveling for billions of years. And then, for the first time, humanity saw it. In 2019, astronomers captured an image of the shadow of a black hole, a ring of fire encircling darkness at the center of the galaxy M87. It wasn't truly a photograph, but rather the collective vision of telescopes spread across the world, stitched together like a single global eye peering into the unknown. What it revealed was not just a hole, but a story. The story of matter falling toward its end, spiraling like a golden whirlpool before vanishing into silence. When we look at that shadow, we are not only seeing a cosmic phenomenon, we are witnessing the boundary between being and nothingness. Time itself slows there, stretched by gravity's enormous weight. To someone falling into a black hole, time might seem to move normally. But to us, watching from afar, that same fall would appear to take forever. The traveler would freeze on the edge, suspended in eternal twilight, never quite disappearing. The universe, it seems, protects its deepest secrets by hiding them in plain sight. There is something poetic in that. The black hole does not destroy and it conceals. It holds within it the remnants of stars, the echoes of light, the history of what once was. It is a library that no one can enter, yet one that preserves everything written upon the pages of space. And perhaps one day, when we understand its language, we will learn what it's been keeping. Philosophers once wondered what nothingness meant, whether true emptiness could exist. But black holes remind us that even in the deepest silence there is structure. Even in darkness there is form. They are not the end of creation, but its transformation, albeit of the universe turning inward, reflecting on itself. Perhaps, then, the black hole is not a monster, but a meditation, a place where the cosmos contemplates its own existence. The gravity there is not cruelty, but stillness, an ultimate pause in the rhythm of the stars. If we could stand on the edge and listen, perhaps we'd hear not the sound of destruction, but of balance, because everything that falls feeds something else. The stars that die create the elements for new worlds. The light that vanishes into a black hole may someday be reborn through another. Even in the most absolute darkness, the universe continues to weave, transform, and remember. And so the quiet mouth of the universe is not silence after all. It is a breath before the next word is spoken, a stillness before time begins again. The cosmos inhales and something vanishes. The cosmos exhales and something new is born. Somewhere, beyond the edge of what we can see, another star trembles, unaware that its final breath will give rise to another dark and dreaming mouth of creation. Light has always been the storyteller of the universe. It races through the dark, carrying memories of stars, galaxies, and distant beginnings. Every shimmer that reaches our eyes is an ancient whisper, a message that has traveled for millions of years just to be seen. Yet there are places where even light, the oldest traveler of all, loses its way. Places where it slows, bends, and finally vanishes. Not destroyed, but unremembered. These are the realms where light forgets its name. Imagine standing near the edge of a black hole. You would see light struggling to escape, curling in circles around the darkness like moths trapped around a silent flame. The glow would distort and twist, stretched into ribbons by the immense pull of gravity. From your vantage point, you'd witness something paradoxical, the dance of brightness around the absence of everything. It is as if the cosmos itself were painting a halo to mark the boundary of mystery. This halo is called the photon sphere, a fragile orbit where light neither escapes nor falls, but hovers in eternal motion. To light, it is the purgatory between freedom and surrender. A single photon can circle the black hole countless times before fate decides its path. Some beams escape outward to tell their story. Others spiral inward, swallowed whole. In this place, even radiance hesitates. Even certainty trembles, but the strangeness doesn't end there. As light approaches the event horizon, time and perception begin to warp. To a distant observer, the light from an object falling into a black hole appears to slow down, redshifting, its color stretching toward longer, weaker wavelengths. It fades, turning crimson, then black, as if the universe were dimming the lights to mark the end of a scene. From the object's own perspective, however, time flows normally. It doesn't feel slowed or stretched. It simply continues until the horizon arrives and everything known is rewritten into silence. The deeper truth is that gravity and light are entangled in a kind of cosmic love story. Light always travels straight, yet gravity bends the very space it moves through. What we see as curved motion is actually light following the natural folds of space-time, a river obeying the shape of its bed. The stronger the gravity, the steeper the curvature. Near a black hole, space itself is bent so tightly that light cannot find a path away. Its destiny is not chosen by disobedience, but by geometry. In Einstein's vision, light doesn't fall, space does. The black hole is not a hole in the fabric of the cosmos, but a place where the fabric has curled inward on itself, forming a well so deep that even light, the swiftest traveler, finds no horizon beyond it. The path is endless, looping inward, and within that endlessness identity dissolves. Light forgets it is light. It's difficult to imagine such distortion. Our minds are shaped by gentle gravities, the pull of Earth, the steady orbit of the Sun. But near a black hole, reality itself becomes liquid. Length, time, and direction lose their familiar meaning. What once was straight becomes circular. What once was bright becomes invisible. The universe seems to betray its own logic. Yet within that betrayal lies a deeper symmetry. The truth that everything, even light, must someday return to stillness. When we look into the sky, we see light as a messenger. It tells us what was, not what is. The starlight striking your eyes tonight began its journey long before you were born. Some of it left its source before Earth even formed. Every photon carries the imprint of its origin, the energy of a sun, the fingerprint of a galaxy, the temperature of the early cosmos. But a black hole erases that message. It keeps the letter, but burns the words, leaving only the quiet weight of what once was written. This is what physicists call information loss, and it remains one of the great paradoxes of modern science. If information can truly vanish inside a black hole, then one of the most sacred principles of physics, that information can never be destroyed, would be broken. But if it doesn't vanish, then where does it go? Some believe it is encoded in faint radiation emitted by the black hole itself, known as Hawking radiation. Others think it may be hidden in the tangled geometry of space-time at the edge. Perhaps the information isn't gone, only rewritten in a language we do not yet understand. In this way, black holes are not merely cosmic traps, they are editors of existence. They erase, but they also preserve, transforming light into silence, and silence into potential. They remind us that the universe is not made of permanence, but of transformation. If light can forget its name, then maybe identity itself is fluid. Maybe the atoms that once belonged to a star or a person or a thought can change their role in the great play of being. Perhaps what falls into darkness is not lost but simply translated, rephrased in the dialect of gravity and time. When you think about it, our own lives echo the same pattern. We emit our light, our actions, our memories, our words, and they travel outward, touching others in ways we may never see. Some of that light escapes into the cosmos, immortalized in the faint hum of energy that fills the night. Some of it bends, fades, and disappears. But perhaps even those forgotten rays are still out there, circling in the vast photon sphere of existence, waiting to be seen again. There is a kind of comfort in this symmetry. The same rules that guide light around a black hole guide our stories, our moments, our endings. Everything bends, everything returns. Even loss has its orbit, and so, where light forgets its name, we find a deeper truth. That identity in the cosmos is not fixed, but fluid. A photon can vanish into darkness, yet its energy still hums through space-time, shaping what comes next. The stars that once died now shine through the eyes that watch them. The light that vanished long ago still whispers through the background of the universe. And in that whisper lies the promise that nothing, not even light, is ever truly gone. In the next breath of the universe, Something else will fall, something else will fade. But somewhere, beyond the reach of even the deepest shadow, a new light will rise. And it too will begin its endless journey to remember its name. Every black hole begins not in darkness, but in fire. It starts as a star, bright, immense, and full of purpose, a glowing forge of creation, burning in the quiet sea of night. For millions or even billions of years, it fuses hydrogen into helium, helium into heavier elements, building the bricks of existence. Its light nourishes worlds that circle nearby, its warmth stretches across the cosmic gulf, and its radiation sings a steady song of balance. But nothing burns forever. Even the greatest stars must someday face their own exhaustion. At the end of their lives, when the nuclear fire at their core flickers and fades, gravity begins to whisper, a quiet, patient reminder that all things fall. The outward pressure that once held the star's mass against collapse weakens, and the equilibrium that defined its existence dissolves. The star begins to shrink. Slowly at first, then with terrifying acceleration, as if the universe itself were inhaling. Inside the dying giant, the atoms that once danced with energy now crumble under the weight of their own gravity. The outer layers crash inward, rebounding off the compressed core in a final convulsion, a supernova. For a brief and breathtaking moment, this explosion can outshine entire galaxies. It is the universe's most dramatic farewell, a flash of defiance against oblivion, yet hidden behind the beauty of that death lies the birth of something far stranger. When the light of the supernova fades, what remains depends on the size of the star that died. A smaller star might become a white dwarf, a faint, fading ember of what once was. A larger one might leave behind a neutron star, a city-sized sphere so dense that a single teaspoon of its material would weigh 1 billion tons. But when the star is massive enough, 10, 20, or more times the mass of our Sun, even the pressure of neutrons cannot resist gravity's hunger. At that threshold, the collapse doesn't stop. The core keeps shrinking endlessly, its matter crushed into an infinitely small point where all known laws of physics dissolve. This is the singularity, the heart of a black hole, the silence after the star's final scream. If you could watch this collapse from afar, the scene would appear both beautiful and tragic. The dying star implodes, then its light freezes near the event horizon, slowing until it seems to stop entirely. To a distant eye, it never quite disappears. The last image of the star lingers there, suspended in red light, like a memory trapped at the edge of time. But in reality, the star has already fallen inward, its body and its history folded into a single, unseeable point. In that instant, the star ceases to be a star. It becomes an absence that bends the universe around it, a dark well in the fabric of space-time. Every trace of its identity, its structure, its brilliance is gone. What remains is gravity in its purest form, concentrated beyond comprehension. It's strange to think that what we call a black hole is not a thing but a boundary, a place defined by where information can no longer escape. The matter that fell inside has no surface, no core in the traditional sense. There is only the event horizon, and beyond it, the unknowable. The universe, in its poetry, transforms something once radiant into something absolutely silent. The star's song is not lost. It has simply changed key. Yet even in death, the star continues to influence the cosmos. Its gravity shapes the orbits of nearby stars, warps the path of light, and sculpts the geometry of space-time itself. Around some black holes, the remnants of gas and dust form vast accretion disks, luminous rings that glow hotter than any flame as matter spirals inward. These are the graves of suns that still burn briefly in their final descent. The black hole may be dark, but it is surrounded by a halo of creation, the fire that heralds the end of fire. Astronomers have seen these funerals unfold in distant galaxies. They watch as stars vanish from view, as X-rays pulse from invisible centers, as cosmic jets burst forth from the poles of black holes, launching matter across millions of light years. Paradoxically, the death of a star can give birth to some of the brightest phenomena in the universe. In destruction, there is creation. In silence, there is song. Perhaps that is why black holes hold such fascination for us, because they mirror something deeply human. We too are made of stars. Every atom in our bodies was once forged in the heart of a stellar furnace. And like those stars, we burn for a while, we create, we give light, we collapse into memory. The idea that even a star must die reminds us that all beauty is temporary, but also that nothing truly ends. For what is a black hole if not a star remembering itself in a different form? It is not death, but transformation, the universe folding its brilliance inward, keeping it safe until it's time to begin again. In that silence, there is potential, not absence. The collapse is not a fall into nothing, but a return to origin. The star that collapses into silence becomes the seed for something new, something unseen yet profoundly real. There's an old saying in astrophysics: matter tells space how to curve, space tells matter how to move. When a star collapses, it stops telling space how to behave, and space begins to tell the story instead. The curve becomes the narrator, the darkness the voice. What remains is pure geometry, the universe thinking without light. If we could listen to that silence, not with our ears, but with understanding, perhaps it would not sound like emptiness at all. Perhaps it would sound like the hum of existence, low and eternal, reminding us that endings are only beginnings turned inside out. The black hole is the punctuation mark at the end of the sentence of a star. But punctuation, after all, is what gives meaning to words. Somewhere in a galaxy far from ours, another star trembles, nearing the end of its life. Its light flickers across the dark ocean of space, unaware that soon it will collapse into itself, that it will become part of this great cycle. Fire into gravity, light into silence, presence into absence. And yet, nothing truly disappears. The energy of that star will ripple outward, bending the cosmos, shaping new stars, stirring dust into new worlds. The universe, vast and patient, keeps all stories, even the ones spoken in silence. So when you gaze at the night sky and see a point of light, remember, each one is temporary, fragile, yet infinite in what it gives. And when it finally fades, its silence becomes part of the universe's song, a melody so vast it can only be heard by the heart that dares to listen. It is one of the universe's great paradoxes, a boundary that exists yet cannot be touched, a line that divides being from non-being, though no one could ever stand upon it. This is the event horizon, the edge of a black hole, the last visible shore before existence dissolves into silence, and yet calling it a horizon is an illusion. It isn't a wall or surface. It isn't made of matter or light. It is a geometry, a place defined not by what it is, but by what cannot escape from it. The horizon of a black hole is a kind of mirage. It marks the moment where time and space trade their identities. Beyond it, every direction points inward, every future ends in the singularity. Here, the universe folds in on itself, and the laws that govern all things elsewhere cease to hold meaning. To understand the horizon, one must first understand escape velocity, the speed something must reach to break free from gravity. On Earth, that speed is about 11 kilometers per second. From the surface of the Sun, it's about 600 kilometers per second. But a black hole compresses so much mass into so small a volume that its escape velocity exceeds the speed of light. Since nothing can travel faster than light, nothing can leave once it has crossed that invisible boundary. It is not a prison with walls. It is a threshold written into the mathematics of space-time itself. To fall through it is to vanish from every possible map of the universe. To cross it is to surrender even the idea of where. Imagine hovering close to such a horizon, a thought experiment physicists love to chase. You're in a sturdy ship, engines roaring just enough to counteract the pull of the black hole's gravity. Below you lies a darkness that isn't truly black, a distortion of stars and galaxies, twisted by the immense curvature of space. Every photon of light bends, every clock slows. The world outside continues normally, but for you time stretches. A single second on your watch could equal hours, days, or even years for someone far away. The closer you drift toward the horizon, the slower your time becomes, until at the edge it seems to stop entirely. To an outside observer, you never cross. You hover there, eternally frozen, your image dimming and reddening as your light struggles to escape the growing gravity. From their view, you become a ghost of time, suspended forever on the border of the impossible. But from your own perspective, you continue to fall, unaware of how strange your motion has become. You cross the horizon without ceremony. No flash, no sound, no resistance. There is no physical marker, no transition you could feel. And yet, you are now beyond the reach of the universe's memory. That is the trick of the event horizon. It is both real and unreal. It exists not as a thing but as a consequence, a line drawn by the universe's logic. We can describe it, predict it, even see its shadow in the glow of nearby matter. But it is not something that can ever be touched or returned from. The horizon is an idea made manifest by gravity's perfection. In 1974, Stephen Hawking gave that idea a whisper of life. He proposed that black holes aren't truly black, that they can, over immense stretches of time, emit faint radiation. Quantum mechanics suggests that pairs of particles constantly pop in and out of existence everywhere in space, a restless churning of energy at the smallest scales. If such a pair appears right at the edge of a black hole, one particle might fall in while the other escapes. The escaped particle becomes real radiation, carrying a tiny bit of energy away. Over eons, this slow leakage could cause a black hole to shrink, to fade, and eventually evaporate. The horizon, once thought eternal, might one day dissolve completely. Hawking's revelation changed the way we see these cosmic abysses. It told us that even the most final things are not final, that the horizon breathes, however slowly, that even the universe's darkest silences hum with faint life. A black hole may devour everything that crosses it, yet give back whispers of its own existence in return. The horizon, it seems, is not a one-way gate, but a conversation between quantum chance and cosmic gravity. It is where the universe negotiates the meaning of permanence. If we could stand near one, though of course we cannot, the view would be beyond comprehension. The stars around would appear to warp and smear, drawn toward the black hole's center like streaks of paint on a canvas. The night sky would stretch into a circle of brilliance around the dark center, a glowing ring of distorted time. Every direction would seem to lead toward the same place, inward, downward, nowhere. And within that illusion, something deeply human stirs, a recognition of limits. Because in many ways, the event horizon mirrors the boundaries within ourselves, the edges of what we can know, remember, or feel. We each have horizons beyond which memory fades, where thought dissolves into instinct, where words can no longer reach. The black hole's horizon is the cosmos reminding us that knowledge itself has an event boundary. That curiosity, for all its bravery, must one day face the unknown and simply let go. Physicists describe the horizon with precision, equations, tensors, the smooth geometry of space-time. But no equation can capture the emotional truth of what it represents. It is the border between being and unbeing, between what is measurable and what must be imagined. It is where certainty ends and wonder begins. And perhaps that is why black holes captivate it, not because they destroy, but because they define the edge of comprehension. Somewhere in the heart of the Milky Way, our own galaxy's central black hole, Sagittarius A, rests behind its horizon. It pulls at nearby stars like a silent conductor, orchestrating their orbits with invisible grace. From its darkness, it holds the galaxy together, unseen yet essential. The stars dance to its gravity, as if paying homage to the invisible. Maybe that's the true lesson of the event horizon, that what we cannot see can still hold everything in place. That absence too can have meaning. The horizon that isn't there reminds us that reality is built not only from what we can measure, but also from what escapes every measurement. So when you look at the night sky and wonder where the universe ends, remember this: the horizon isn't a limit, it's an invitation. Beyond it lies not emptiness, but possibility, a realm where light bends, time folds, and the cosmos whispers that its mysteries are never truly gone, only waiting to be seen differently. Silence, it seems, is never truly silent. Even in the deepest void, beyond the reach of stars, beyond the last trace of light, something hums. A faint murmur, older than any galaxy, softer than breath. These are the echoes from the edge of nothing. The faint radiation, the quantum ripples, the lingering afterglow of creation itself. The universe has memory. Not the kind that can be written in books or spoken aloud, but the kind etched into space itself. Every event, every particle, every flicker of energy leaves a subtle mark, a vibration that spreads outward forever. When physicists talk about the fabric of space-time, they mean it literally. Like a sheet of cosmic cloth, it can stretch, bend, and ripple. And each ripple carries information. A story of what has happened and what will happen still. Some of these ripples we can detect. They're called gravitational waves, distortions in space-time itself, traveling at the speed of light. In 2015, humanity heard them for the first time. Two black holes collided over 1 billion light-years away, and the shock waves of that moment reached Earth. Tiny, delicate tremors that shifted our detectors by less than the width of a proton. But those ripples were real. They were proof that the universe itself can sing. Imagine that, space as an ocean, black holes as stones dropped into its depths, and the resulting waves echoing across eternity. Even the darkest events leave behind music. Even the most destructive collisions create harmony in the structure of the cosmos. For billions of years, the universe has been playing its own quiet symphony, and for the briefest moment, we learned how to listen. But not all echoes are so grand. Some are far older, far softer, whispers from the dawn of everything. Roughly 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was born in a sudden blaze of expansion, the Big Bang. It wasn't an explosion in space, it was an explosion of space itself. Energy became matter, light filled every corner, and the cosmos began to unfold. And though that light has dimmed over the eons, it never truly disappeared. Today, that ancient glow still fills the universe. We call it the cosmic microwave background, or CMB, the faint afterlight of creation. It's everywhere, all around you right now, passing through your body, your home, the planet itself. It is the sky's faintest whisper, the universe's baby photo, the echo of the first dawn. When radio astronomers accidentally discovered it in 1965, they thought it was noise, interference from a faulty antenna. But it wasn't. It was the oldest sound in existence. That soft radiation carries secrets. Tiny fluctuations in its temperature tell us where the first galaxies formed, how gravity sculpted the stars, and how the universe grew from chaos to structure. When scientists map the CMB, they're looking at the universe as it was just 380,000 years after its birth, a time before atoms, before light had even found its freedom. Every pixel of that cosmic map is a fossil of time itself. So even nothingness, it turns out, speaks. Even silence is full of echoes. And that changes everything we thought we knew about emptiness, because the void of space isn't empty at all. Between every atom, every galaxy, every flicker of starlight, there exists a restless quantum sea, the vacuum energy. It's the reason space can stretch, the reason particles can appear and vanish, the reason the universe continues to expand faster and faster. Physicists call it dark energy, and though we can't see it, we feel its effect in the acceleration of galaxies fleeing ever farther apart. The vacuum, the nothing, is alive. Think of it like this. If you could take a cubic meter of empty space, truly empty, with no atoms, no radiation, no fields, it would still contain energy. Virtual particles would flicker in and out of being, borrowing existence from the uncertainty of quantum mechanics. They are the smallest echoes imaginable, the sound of the void thinking. Some physicists even suggest that the universe itself may have begun as a fluctuation within that vacuum, a spark of energy born from nothing, expanding into everything. If that's true, then the universe is literally the echo of nothingness finding its own voice. And in that voice, we find an eerie symmetry. Everything that exists is balanced by the possibility of its opposite, matter by antimatter, creation by destruction, light by darkness, presence by absence. Every star that burns leaves behind a shadow, a ripple in the balance of what can be and what cannot. And so the universe evolves not as a static entity, but as an ongoing conversation between something and nothing. In the far future, when all stars fade and all matter decays, these echoes may be all that remain. Gravitational waves drifting endlessly, photons stretched to infinite wavelengths, quantum fields humming faintly in the dark. The universe at last may return to the same kind of silence it began with, but it will not be the same silence. It will carry within it the memory of everything that ever was. There is beauty in that inevitability, because the end of all things does not erase what came before. Every echo is a kind of remembrance, a persistence that defies the linearity of time. The photons that reach your eyes tonight may have traveled billions of years to find you. You are, in a sense, illuminated by the past, by moments so distant that the stars that cast them are long gone, and yet their light still touches you. You are made of echoes too. Your atoms were forged in the hearts of dying stars. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all born from cosmic fire, all remnants of things that once collapsed, exploded, and began again. We often think of space as vast and lonely, but perhaps it is not loneliness we are hearing, perhaps it is memory, the sound of the universe remembering itself, softly, forever. Each pulse of light, each trembling wave, each whisper of radiation, all part of the same ancient chorus, endlessly replaying across time. So when you gaze into the night, into what seems like nothing, remember, the darkness is not empty. It is full of echoes. Echoes of creation, of collapse, of time itself. A cosmic heartbeat that reminds us that even at the edge of nothing, the universe still dreams. There are forces in this universe that never sleep. Even when the last star fades, when light itself is stretched so thin that it can no longer remember its color, one thing will still remain: gravity. It does not shimmer or blaze. It does not speak in photons or flares. Yet it shapes everything. The silent hand that writes the structure of reality. If light is the language of the universe, gravity is its grammar. Every orbit, every collapse, every spiral of galaxies obeys its syntax. It bends space and sculpts time. It whispers to matter, pulling it inward, urging it toward unity. It is patient, infinitely patient, for gravity does not rush. It waits, watching stars burn and die, watching planets wander and collide, watching black holes grow from the ashes of suns. But gravity is not just a force. It is a dream, a cosmic yearning for togetherness. Every particle, no matter how small, longs for every other. The pull between them is not violence, but remembrance. A subtle recognition that everything was once one. Before galaxies were born, before time began to flow, all matter and energy were fused together in a single, unimaginable density. In that moment, gravity was not a pull between things. It was the bond that held everything as one breath, one thought, one being. When the universe expanded, it was gravity that refused to let go. While everything else fled outward, gravity whispered, "Come back." And so it began, the great cosmic dance. Expansion and collapse, explosion and silence, stars igniting and dying in endless rhythm. It is gravity that makes a star possible. It crushes clouds of hydrogen into fire, holds entire worlds in orbit, sculpts galaxies into spirals and ellipses. And it is gravity that ends those same stars, pulling them inward until light can no longer escape. But perhaps its strangest dream, its deepest longing, is infinity itself. Because gravity, when left unchecked, does not stop. A mountain can collapse into a stone into a pebble into dust. And dust, under the spell of gravity, can fall forever. Compress something enough and it ceases to be matter at all. It becomes a singularity, a point of infinite density where all equations break and the language of physics dissolves into silence. At that point, time no longer behaves as we know it. Past and future intertwine, trapped in a loop that never escapes. From the outside, it looks like stillness. From the inside, if such a place could be seen, it might feel like falling through eternity without ever reaching the ground. Einstein gave us the first glimpse of this dream. He showed that gravity is not a force pulling things together, but the shape of space itself bending under the weight of energy and matter. Mass tells space-time how to curve, and space-time tells mass how to move. It is a beautiful reciprocity, a cosmic conversation that never ends. The Earth orbits the Sun not because it is pulled, but because it is following the curved geometry carved into the fabric of reality. A planet does not resist gravity. It flows along the path that space-time draws. When physicists imagine a black hole, they do not see an object. They see a shape in space-time so steep that nothing can climb out. Gravity's dream of infinity made visible. The closer you get, the slower time moves. For a distant observer, it almost appears frozen, light crawling endlessly toward the edge, never quite falling in. To the infalling traveler, though, it is different. The journey accelerates, the universe distorts, and what was once a gentle pull becomes an unstoppable plunge. But what happens beyond that boundary, beyond the event horizon, remains one of the deepest mysteries of existence. Mathematically, gravity predicts an infinite collapse. Reality, however, rarely tolerates infinity. Some scientists believe quantum physics may rescue the singularity from itself. That deep inside, At scales smaller than we can comprehend, gravity might dissolve into something new, something that defies both space and time. Others think black holes might be portals, bridges to other universes, folds in the grand tapestry of existence where gravity completes its dream in a place beyond our reach. If gravity dreams of infinity, then perhaps infinity dreams back. Because the more we learn, the more we realize that gravity is not just a physical law, it's a reminder. A reminder that nothing exists in isolation. Every atom on Earth feels the pull of every other atom in the cosmos. Every heartbeat tugs faintly on distant stars. It is an invisible thread that ties everything together, binding galaxies, minds, and memories in a single woven field. And though we feel small beneath the weight of such vastness, gravity does not measure worth. It does not choose what to hold close and what to let drift away. It treats all things equally, dust and diamond, planet and person. To gravity, everything belongs. That is perhaps its greatest lesson, that connection is not an accident, but a law of nature, that the universe itself is built from the longing to remain whole, even as it expands and fragments across time. When you stand beneath the night sky, when you feel the earth beneath your feet, you are held by the same dream that binds galaxies. Every step you take, every breath you draw, every falling tear, all a part of that vast, unseen conversation between matter and the infinite. So the next time you watch something fall, a leaf, a raindrop, a comet returning to the sun, think of it not as descent, but as homecoming, for that is what gravity truly is, the universe remembering itself. Every fall is a return, every orbit a repetition of that first embrace. In the end, perhaps gravity's dream is not of destruction or collapse. Perhaps its dream of infinity is a promise that nothing, not even light, is ever truly lost, that all things in time will find their way back to the center, to the heart of all beginnings. And if you listen closely, in the quiet between stars, you might almost hear it. The faint hum of space-time breathing, the endless sigh of gravity dreaming, forever pulling everything toward forever. Time has always been our silent companion. It moves beside us, invisible yet undeniable, shaping the rhythm of everything. The flicker of stars, the decay of atoms, the beating of hearts. We live inside it, as fish live in water, never quite seeing it, yet unable to exist without it. But time is not eternal. Even it has an ending, a final slowing, a final exhale, what we might call time's final breath. From the moment the universe began, time has been unfolding like a vast ribbon stretched by the expansion of space itself. At first, it was wild, billions of events happening in the blink of an eye. Particles collided, stars were born, galaxies spun themselves into existence. But as the cosmos aged, that furious dance slowed. The light of creation dimmed, and somewhere in that long drift toward quiet, time began to feel the weight of gravity's dream. For in the heart of a black hole, time behaves unlike anywhere else. Einstein showed us that the stronger the gravity, the slower the passage of time. To someone standing far away, a clock near a black hole would seem to tick slower and slower, as if frozen between one heartbeat and the next. To the observer falling in, however, it feels perfectly normal. Time never tells you that it's changing. Only when you compare one place to another do you realize how unevenly it flows. That is perhaps the most haunting truth of all. Time is not absolute. It bends, it stretches, it warps. It is woven into space like music into silence. And when gravity plays upon it, the melody shifts. Near a black hole's edge, that melody becomes a single, endless note. A moment stretched so thin that it never ends. If you could hover safely just outside the event horizon, you would see something impossible, a star falling inward, but never quite crossing the edge. Its light would grow redder, dimmer, slower, until it seemed frozen in place. You'd be watching its final instant forever. That is time, held captive by gravity.
And for the star itself?
Time continues as normal until it vanishes beyond reach, swallowed whole as though the universe simply blinked. This strange slowing of time is not confined to black holes. It exists everywhere, quietly, proportionally. Each of us, standing here on Earth, experiences time differently depending on our height, our speed, our place in the gravitational field. An astronaut orbiting Earth ages ever so slightly slower than the people below. The difference is microscopic, a few billionths of a second, yet real, measurable, undeniable. Even our dreams unfold in slightly different tempos depending on where we are in the cosmos. Time is personal, curved around each of us by gravity's invisible hand. But what happens when the stars themselves die? When all the fires of the cosmos go out and the last light fades into the dark, physicists call it the heat death of the universe, a far, far future when all energy is evenly spread, when there are no differences left to create motion, no gravity wells to distort time, no warmth, no light. A universe in perfect equilibrium, and therefore perfectly still. In that endless stillness, time loses meaning. For what is time without change? Without before and after, without cause and effect, time becomes breathless. It takes one last inhale and exhales into forever. We might imagine that end as cold and lifeless, and perhaps it is. But within it lies a strange kind of peace. For billions upon billions of years, the universe has been in motion, expanding, collapsing, creating, destroying.
Every moment, every particle, every life has been a part of that movement.
To reach stillness at last, to stop expanding, to stop changing, is not just an end, but a rest. Perhaps that is what eternity truly means. Not endless motion, but the ceasing of it. And yet the story may not end there. Some theories whisper that time may not die completely. That, within the silent decay of matter, quantum flickers could still occur. Tiny fluctuations in the void. These could spark new beginnings, new universes, new clocks. If that is true, then even time's final breath might be followed by another. A cycle of sleeping and waking, collapsing and rebirth, endlessly repeating across cosmic ages. Still, we must ask, what is time truly?
A dimension.
A direction, a memory. Einstein said that the distinction between past, present, and future is only an illusion, though a persistent one. If that's true, then time may be nothing more than our way of experiencing change, the mind's echo of entropy. The universe itself might not feel time at all. It may exist all at once, every event already written, every heartbeat and supernova occurring simultaneously in a grand, unobservable whole. We, within it, are the ones who move, like needles tracing a record that has already been composed. If time is an illusion, it is the most beautiful one ever made. It gives meaning to impermanence, to growth, to love. It allows stars to live and die and allows us to see them, to remember them. It is the space between moments where consciousness exists. The quiet pause in the cosmic symphony that lets the music breathe. Perhaps time's final breath will not be silence, but harmony, the completion of a note that has been ringing since the beginning. The first vibration of creation still trembles in everything that exists. Each second that passes is just a continuation of that first pulse. When time exhales for the last time, the song will end where it began, in stillness, in unity, in the unbroken quiet that came before the first dawn. And so, when you close your eyes tonight, remember you are part of that same rhythm. Every heartbeat is a metronome of the universe, every sigh a measure of its melody. You live inside the breath of time, and one day, long after the stars have gone, when time exhales its final whisper, some part of you, the atoms, the energy, the memory, would drift with it into that final stillness where all moments meet, and the universe dreams of beginning again. Darkness, they say, is the absence of light. But in truth, darkness can be far more than that. It can be a presence, a force, a hunger. Nowhere in the universe is that more true than within a black hole where light itself becomes the prey. It is a place where shadow eats shadow, where reality folds inward, and where the line between existence and nothingness begins to blur. It is, quite literally, the shadow that devours itself. When we speak of black holes, we often imagine them as monstrous, consuming things, mouths in space that swallow everything near them. But that's only part of the story. They are not objects in the traditional sense. They have no surface, no solid core, no inside that we can truly define. They are regions of space where gravity has triumphed completely, where the rules that govern everything else collapse under their own weight. Imagine light, pure, radiant, unstoppable, trying to escape a star's dying core. As the star implodes, gravity grows so fierce that even light, the fastest thing in existence, bends back upon itself. It circles the drain of space-time, spiraling inward, until it disappears beyond the event horizon. The light does not vanish in the usual way. It is trapped, caught in a forever fall. Its last moment, stretched infinitely by time dilation, becomes eternal. From the outside, that last photon never truly fades. It is frozen in place,
Endlessly redshifted, endlessly dimming.
until it becomes the very definition of black. Thus, the black hole is born, not from creation but from collapse, not from light but from its failure to escape. And in that failure lies one of the most beautiful paradoxes in all of physics. A black hole is both there and not there. It has mass but no measurable size.
It has a boundary but no surface.
It contains information but offers no way to retrieve it. This paradox, the information problem, has haunted physicists for decades. If something falls into a black hole, what happens to the information that defined it? Does it vanish forever, erased from the universe? Or is it somehow preserved, encoded in the trembling geometry of space-time? Stephen Hawking once suggested that black holes might not be eternal after all, that they slowly leak energy through what we now call Hawking radiation. It is a strange and delicate process. At the event horizon, quantum fluctuations cause pairs of particles to spontaneously appear and disappear. Occasionally, one falls into the black hole while the other escapes into space. To an outside observer, it seems as though the black hole is emitting faint radiation, losing mass, evaporating, fading away over unimaginable stretches of time. In the far future, given enough eons, even the largest black holes will wither into nothing. The ultimate eater of worlds will itself be eaten by the very quantum fabric that birthed it. The shadow, in the end, devours itself. And yet that decay poses another mystery. If the black hole evaporates completely, where does the information go? Can the universe truly allow the complete destruction of information, of the patterns that once defined stars, matter, and light? Quantum mechanics says no. It insists that information cannot be lost, only transformed. But gravity, in its silent authority, says otherwise. This tension between the laws of the small and the laws of the large is the great argument at the heart of the cosmos. Some theories suggest that the information remains imprinted on the event horizon itself, encoded in a kind of holographic projection. Others imagine that when black holes die, the information they contain might burst back into the universe in a final flare of energy, a whisper of everything that ever fell within. In that sense, every black hole could be both a tomb and a seed, ending one form while giving birth to another. Philosophically, it is haunting and beautiful. Because in that process, destruction and creation become the same act. The universe consumes itself only to remember itself more deeply. It forgets in order to dream. There is an eerie symmetry to this idea when we look inward into the human condition. Every thought we have eventually fades. Every emotion dissolves into memory and memory into silence. But that does not mean they are lost. They reshape us subtly, invisibly, becoming part of the structure of who we are. Perhaps consciousness too works like a black hole, drawing everything inward, compressing experience into something denser, quieter, more eternal. In dreams, we fall inward endlessly, our memories bending, our sense of time warping, until waking becomes our event horizon, the edge of a deeper reality. Maybe that's why we find black holes so terrifying and fascinating at once. They are mirrors of our own nature, symbols of our desire to look inward, to understand the limits of what we are, even when the answer may be darkness. To stare into one is to confront the essence of existence itself, the knowledge that everything we love, everything we are, will one day be drawn back into silence. And yet, in that silence, nothing is wasted. The energy persists. The pattern continues. The shadow feeds upon itself, not in hunger, but in balance. From the great void to the smallest atom, the story is the same. All things seek equilibrium. Even light, which flees across billions of years, eventually finds a place to rest. Even shadows must find their home. If you could stand at the edge of a black hole and look outward, impossible though that may be, you would see something extraordinary. The universe would appear distorted, warped into a ring of fire. Every direction would bend inward, every photon curved by gravity's relentless pull. It would be as though all of space were collapsing toward you, and perhaps in a way it is. Because the black hole does not exist separately from the universe. It is the universe folding back upon itself, examining its own reflection. It is the cosmos asking the most profound question it can: what happens when I turn inward? And perhaps, somewhere in the answer to that question, lies the secret of existence itself. That creation and destruction are not opposites, but two halves of the same eternal motion. The dark and the light, the falling and the rising, the shadow and the flame. They are all one, endlessly consuming and renewing one another. In the end, the shadow that devours itself does not disappear. It becomes everything. The eater and the eaten, the light and the void, the question and the silence, all dissolve into one infinite point where the universe breathes its own name and vanishes into the soundless heart of itself. There are limits to what we can imagine, boundaries drawn not by fear, but by the very fabric of reality itself. Beyond those boundaries lies a place where knowledge dissolves, where equations lose their meaning, and where existence folds into something more mysterious than creation or destruction. That place is called a singularity. It is not a location you can point to or a space you can occupy. It is the end of where and the end of when. A point of infinite density, zero volume, and unfathomable curvature. A place where space and time cease to exist as separate things.
Inside it, the universe stops making sense.
And yet, it is here, inside this impossibility, that the deepest truths may be hiding. To imagine what it feels like to approach a singularity, picture a traveler falling freely toward the center of a black hole. No rockets, no sound, no resistance, only motion, pure and unending. The pull of gravity grows stronger with every breath, every heartbeat, every instant. Space itself stretches while time slows to a crawl. For a moment, the traveler might see the entire universe unfold in front of them. Stars accelerating in slow motion, galaxies twisting like ribbons of smoke. But soon those visions fade. Light bends inward, color drains away, and reality narrows into a tunnel of infinite depth. There is no ground to reach, no bottom to find. The closer they fall, the less space there is left to fall through. At the singularity, all paths converge. Every coordinate collapses into one. Past and future become indistinguishable, not two directions, but the same eternal point. Inside that point, every law of physics we know, relativity, quantum mechanics, electromagnetism, begins to contradict itself. Gravity, once gentle and universal, becomes absolute. Time, once flowing, becomes static. And yet, something must persist because even in the impossible, existence does not simply stop. Physicists have long wrestled with this paradox. If the singularity is truly infinite, it cannot exist within the bounds of any theory. If it does exist, then our theories, or all of them, are incomplete. It is as though the universe has drawn a curtain across its deepest secret, whispering, "You may come this far, but no further." Einstein's equations predict singularities, yet they break at their edges. Quantum mechanics, which governs the tiniest scales, refuses to accept infinity. Somewhere between these two truths, the cosmic and the quantum, lies a missing bridge: quantum gravity. A theory that would unite the very large with the very small, explaining not just what the universe does, but what it is. We do not yet have it. But the singularity calls to us from that boundary, demanding we find it. Some scientists believe that inside a singularity, space and time might loop upon themselves like knots in a thread. Others imagine it not as a point, but as a gateway, a tunnel to another region of space-time. In that vision, every black hole could also be a white hole, a place where what falls in here emerges elsewhere, reborn as energy and matter in another universe. If that's true, then perhaps every singularity is a seed, a womb for new creation. Perhaps our own universe began within the singularity of another. Perhaps the Big Bang was not the beginning, but merely a continuation, the echo of a collapse that happened long ago, somewhere beyond our comprehension. It is a humbling idea in that even infinity might recycle itself, that nothing ever truly ends. It only changes form, dreaming itself into new configurations. If we could peer inside the thought of a singularity, maybe we would see that it is not chaos, but clarity, the purest state of unity, a moment where all possibilities coexist before time unravels them into sequence. It might be the universe thinking, compressing its infinite possibilities into one perfect instant of potential. And perhaps in some quiet way, we mirror that same process. When we close our eyes, when memory and perception blur, our minds collapse the infinite stream of the world into single points of experience, flashes of awareness, brief but infinite in meaning. Consciousness itself may be the singularity within us, the place where all that we are and all that we know converge into one impossible instant of being. Every thought begins as a singularity, invisible,
Immeasurable, expanding outward into words, actions and choices.
every dream, every invention, every love and loss, they all start in that silent center. From the human mind to the structure of the cosmos, creation begins the same way, from density, from compression, from stillness that cannot remain still. It is in our nature to expand from it, just as it is in the universe's nature to unfold. But if a singularity is pure potential, then what is infinity?
Maybe infinity is not the opposite of nothing, but its reflection.
The two are bound together, the outward and the inward, the expansion and the collapse, the beginning and the end, one breathing into the other in a cosmic loop. To understand a singularity is to stand at the center of that breath, where everything is one and time is silent. Somewhere, right now, billions of black holes hold their singularities hidden beneath event horizons, invisible, eternal. Each one is a thought the universe is still having, each one a secret, a possibility not yet spoken. We can't see inside them, but we can feel their influence. They pull at galaxies, shape orbits, twist starlight, and bend the very fabric of what can be known. Their silence is not emptiness, it is concentration, a focus so intense that even light cannot distract it. Perhaps then the singularity is not the death of understanding, but its birth. Maybe what we call the end of physics is simply the point where understanding must transform into wonder, where numbers must yield to awe and knowledge must bow to mystery. Because even in the most advanced equations, even in the most elegant theories, there remains one unanswered question. Why is there something rather than nothing? Why does the universe choose to exist and to think at all? The singularity, silent and perfect, might be that question embodied. It is the stillness before the first word, the pause between every creation and every return. It is the thought the universe has before it speaks itself into being. And so, when you gaze into the dark between stars, know that you are also gazing inward into the same mystery that lies at the heart of all things, the same infinite point that exists at the center of every atom, every soul, every collapsing star. You are not outside the singularity.
You are within it.
The cosmos is not a place you observe. It is a thought you are part of. In that realization, the infinite and the intimate become one. And in that union, perhaps the universe remembers why it began at all. Somewhere, between the light that escapes and the darkness that consumes, there exists a mirror, invisible, immeasurable, and eternal. It does not reflect faces or forms. It reflects fates. Every black hole in its quiet gravity carries such a mirror within it, not of silver and glass, but of time itself. What does it reflect? Not what is, but what was. When a star dies, its light travels endlessly outward while its body collapses inward, folding beneath the weight of its own creation. The black hole that remains is not merely the corpse of a star, it is the memory of what once burned. And the event horizon, becoming that perfect boundary between existence and oblivion, is where that memory lingers, like a faint ghost of light pressed against the edge of eternity. To look at a black hole is to look into a reflection of everything the universe has lost. It is a mirror that does not show you yourself. It shows you what can never be seen again. Imagine, for a moment, that you could hover safely just above an event horizon. Below you, time slows until it nearly stops. The light from distant galaxies stretches, redshifts, and fades as the pull of gravity thickens reality into syrup. You watch as every photon that once escaped is dragged into a spiral of no return, and for a heartbeat, you realize that what you are seeing isn't just light. It's the universe remembering. The stars that once were, the worlds that once circled them, the atoms that once breathed, they are all etched, encoded, imprinted upon that dark, curved boundary. Physicists call it the holographic principle, the idea that everything that falls into a black hole is not lost, but transformed into information that remains written across the event horizon. Not destroyed, but translated into another language, a cosmic encryption of reality itself. In this way, every black hole becomes a library.
Every vanished world, every moment, every particle that crossed its edge, all of it still exists, hidden in the geometry of the horizon's surface.
It's as if the universe keeps perfect records, but only in the places where no one can look. Stephen Hawking once proposed that black holes could evaporate, that over immense spans of time, they radiate faint energy known as Hawking radiation, slowly losing mass until they disappear entirely. If that is true, then where does the information go? Does the cosmic mirror shatter, scattering its memories into the void? Or does the universe find another way to keep them safe, rewritten perhaps into the subtle fabric of space-time itself? This question, known as the information paradox, is one of the deepest mysteries in modern physics. It is not merely about equations or quantum states. It is about the nature of truth itself. If the universe can lose information, then causality, the very idea of continuity, begins to crumble. The past could vanish without trace, and the future would no longer know where to begin. But if the universe preserves information, then even death, collapse, and oblivion are illusions, temporary distortions of a larger, unbroken whole. Perhaps that is what the mirror of the black hole truly shows us. Not loss, but transformation. When we look into it, we do not see disappearance. We see the universe rewriting itself in silence. In a sense, we are made of such echoes. Every atom in your body was once part of a star that burned, collapsed, or scattered its ashes into the void. We carry the memory of vanished worlds in our bones. Hydrogen from ancient nebulae,
Iron from dying suns.
calcium from forgotten supernovas that flashed and faded before life ever began. We are walking mirrors of cosmic history, the living evidence that nothing is ever truly lost. It is humbling to think that the same physics that consumes worlds also created us. The same gravitational hunger that tears light apart also shaped galaxies, sculpted stars, and forged the conditions for thought. Black holes are not the end of creation. They are its punctuation mark, the silences between cosmic sentences, and perhaps in those silences the universe learns to think. If black holes are mirrors, then perhaps they are also teachers. They show us that not all knowledge can be observed directly. Some truths exist only in reflection, not seen but felt. The event horizon may hide its contents from sight, but its gravity speaks through every orbiting star, every trembling photon, every ripple in space-time. Even in its silence, it tells a story, and that story is not of destruction but of remembrance. Maybe that's why the universe allows black holes to exist, to remind us that beauty and loss are inseparable, that creation must be mirrored by its own undoing, that everything which shines must one day fold inward, carrying the memory of its own light.
And yet, even when the star has vanished, its warmth remains, somewhere, somehow, etched upon the invisible skin of existence. When we gaze into that darkness, we are not just looking into the past.
We are witnessing time folding upon itself, the living becoming memory, the moment becoming echo. The black hole does not erase the world. It remembers it perfectly. Every orbit, every pulse, every trembling photon is still there, suspended in gravity's endless thought. Perhaps in some far future, when the last black holes evaporate and their information returns to the cosmic wind, the universe will replay its own memories. Every star reborn in radiation, every world reshaped in light, every thought, dream, and breath reignited in a final flash of remembrance. The mirror will no longer reflect because there will be no darkness left to contain the image.
All will have been seen, all will have been released. Until then, the mirrors remain silent, perfect, eternal.
Each one holds the shadow of a vanished world, a quiet promise that nothing is ever truly gone. And maybe, if you listen closely to the dark between stars, you might hear them whispering to one another across time, "I remember you." The reflection fades, the cosmos exhales, and somewhere another horizon forms, another mirror waiting to remember what light has yet to lose. If you could drift close enough to a black hole, the first thing you would feel is not terror, it would be awe. The stars around you would warp like reflections on rippling water. Light itself would bend into spirals, looping endlessly around the dark center, each photon caught in a gravitational dance it can never escape. And somewhere between those twisting arcs, your body would begin to stretch, not by will, but by the quiet hand of gravity's gradient. The poets of physics have a name for it: spaghettification. It sounds absurd, almost humorous, until you realize what it truly means. To be spaghettified is to be torn, atom by atom, as gravity pulls harder on your feet than your head, or on one molecule more than the next. The difference in force is so extreme that you would become a stream of matter pulled thinner than light itself. But the strange part is this: from your perspective, you wouldn't feel pain or panic. Time would slow as you fell until every instant stretched into eternity. You would see the universe above you accelerate, stars aging, galaxies fading, light itself reddening into invisibility. You would witness the future unfold in seconds. And then you would vanish. But what does vanish mean in a universe that forgets nothing? When light bends, when time stretches, and when matter falls, nothing is erased. It is merely transformed. Perhaps spaghettification is not destruction, but a translation, a conversion of being into pure geometry, the ultimate surrender to curvature itself. To understand it, imagine space as an ocean and yourself as a droplet within it. As you near the black hole, the waves grow steep, the current relentless. The ocean begins to fold inward, and your drop is drawn into the fold, stretching, elongating, dissolving, until what was once you becomes part of the current itself. You are no longer separate from the ocean. You are the ocean. In that way, the fall is not a death, it is a return. Science calls this effect the tidal force, the differential pull of gravity across an object. Near Earth, tides lift and lower oceans by a few meters. Near a black hole, the difference can be billions of times stronger. Every atom is tugged in a different direction. Matter is unmade not through violence but through inevitability, through the perfection of gravity's patience. And yet, this terrifying precision is strangely elegant. Black holes are not monsters. They are mathematicians. They calculate everything, the path of every photon, the rhythm of every fall, with absolute accuracy. Their hunger is not chaos, but order. Their appetite is the universe's way of keeping balance between expansion and return. When you fall toward one, you are not devoured by madness, but absorbed into the most exact equation that nature has ever written. From the outside, however, your story looks different.
Observers far away would never see you reach the horizon.
You would appear frozen in time, suspended just above the edge, stretched thinner and thinner as your light reddens and fades. To them you become a ghost, your final moments stretched infinitely across eternity. You never truly cross over. You simply fade into the background radiation of the cosmos. You are forever in the act of falling. This is the paradox of black holes. From one side, they destroy. From the other, they preserve. To fall in is to end. To watch from afar is to witness a moment that never finishes. Time like light breaks in two. One half belongs to you, the falling, dissolving you. The other belongs to the universe that will never quite let you go, but perhaps this division is not cruelty. Perhaps it's poetry, a reminder that every ending has two perspectives, the one who leaves and the one who remembers.
Maybe every life, every dream, every starlit story is spaghettified in the same way.
We stretch across time, our moments pulled apart, our beginnings and endings drifting light years apart. Yet some part of us always remains, frozen in someone's memory, glimmering faintly above the horizon of their mind. Even light itself breaks in the presence of such gravity. Photons twist and stretch, their wavelengths expanding into silence. They carry color until color can no longer survive. Beyond a certain point, brightness itself forgets how to exist. And yet, paradoxically, this very distortion creates beauty, the halo of light we call the photon ring. It is the last circle of resistance, the shimmer of everything that almost escaped but didn't. Around every black hole there exists this crown, made from broken light and frozen time. It glows not because of what it holds, but because of what it lost. Maybe that's true for us as well. Maybe what makes us luminous are not the things we keep, but the things we almost lost. The fragments of love, memory, and meaning that stretched us, reshaped us, and left us glowing around the edges. We are all, in some way, spaghettified by life, pulled between the gravity of our past and the horizon of our future. And like that halo of light, we shine brightest in the tension between escape and surrender. It's strange to think that something as violent as gravity could teach gentleness, but that's what it does. It shows us that even destruction can be graceful, that even collapse has rhythm. Every fall is precise. Every fracture is part of a pattern. Every moment of stretching reveals the fabric's hidden threads, the unseen structure of the cosmos weaving itself endlessly into new designs. So perhaps spaghettification is not an ending, but an unveiling. When matter is stretched to its limit, the universe shows its true continuity, that nothing is separate, nothing stands alone. What we call breaking is, in truth, merging. What we call falling is, in truth, returning home. Somewhere in the depths of a galaxy's core, this dance continues. Stars spiral, dust descends, and light bends, endlessly feeding the quiet mouths of the universe. Every photon that dies gives birth to another. Every collapse becomes a seed for creation. And in that eternal stretch between gravity and grace, between pain and beauty, the cosmos continues to dream itself into being. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it, the slow unraveling of light, the sigh of stars surrendering, the hush of infinity folding upon itself. A music beyond sound, the sound of matter learning to let go. And perhaps, when we too reach our own event horizons, the moments when life pulls us apart, when everything feels stretched beyond recognition, we will remember what the stars already know, that nothing truly falls alone. Every line, every thread, every dream remains connected, woven through the same eternal fabric, stretched across the same infinite sky. There are places in the universe where distance loses meaning, where light, time, and motion weave into something soft and circular, as if reality itself were folding a letter back into its envelope. These folds are not made of paper, but of space-time, curves so deep that straight lines become illusions. To understand this, imagine standing in a vast dark field beneath an unbroken night sky. The stars seem scattered, infinite, unreachable. But in the unseen geometry of space, they may not be as far as they appear. A line drawn straight through the cosmos might one day return to the place it began. The universe, after all, is not flat. It curves, bends, loops. Not unlike a memory revisited. When you remember something deeply, it feels close again. A sound, a scent, a face from long ago, suddenly within reach. That is how gravity works on the scale of existence. It folds the fabric of space, bringing distant things nearer, turning the infinite into the intimate. Black holes are the most extreme expression of this folding. They are where the fabric doesn't just bend, it folds completely over itself, creating a place where direction dissolves and inside becomes outside. To fall toward one is to cross the border where geometry breaks, where space curves so tightly, even time becomes tangled within it.
Inside, every moment touches every other.
The future and the past lean so close they almost whisper. Einstein showed us that gravity is not a force, but a curvature. Objects don't fall because they are pulled. They move naturally along the curves that space lays out for them. In the presence of mass, space-time dips. In the presence of immense mass, it folds. Black holes are simply the deepest valleys in that cosmic landscape. the places where the fold becomes a loop too tight to escape. But what if, instead of ending there, the fold continues, not downward, but through? Some theories suggest that black holes might not just swallow matter, but tunnel it elsewhere, to another region of the same universe, or perhaps to another entirely. A mirror universe, an alternate cosmos, connected by what physicists call an Einstein-Rosen bridge, known more poetically as a wormhole. If such bridges exist, then every black hole could also be an exit.
Every collapse could hide a door.
Every vanishing star could be a passageway to another sky. Of course, no one knows if wormholes are real. They may remain forever in the language of mathematics, dreams written in the ink of geometry. But the idea of it itself holds a kind of truth, for isn't memory its own wormhole? A fold through which the past travels, carrying us across the distances of time. When you recall a moment, you bend your inner space-time. You create a bridge between now and then. And for a brief instant, the years collapse. You are there again, fully, completely, hearing the same sound, feeling the same warmth, tasting the same air. That is memory folding. That is space-time alive within you. Perhaps on some cosmic level, the universe remembers in the same way. Every galaxy, every particle, every collapse, all of it stored, folded, retrievable in the curvature of space-time. Gravity may be the way the universe remembers itself. Every orbit, every attraction, every fall a kind of recollection. Matter reaching back toward what it once was. Even the structure of space-time ripples with memory. When two black holes collide, they send out waves that stretch and squeeze reality itself. These gravitational waves are literal folds in the universe, echoes of motion frozen into the fabric of everything. When we detect them, we are not merely observing distant events. We are feeling the memory of their collision, washed across us billions of years later. Imagine that, you sitting beneath your quiet sky, your body bathed in the faint ripples of ancient
Cataclysms, the afterthoughts of stars merging before life ever began in Earth. You are being gently rocked by the memory of the cosmos itself. There is a strange comfort in that.
because it means that nothing is truly forgotten. Not light, not gravity, not even the smallest moment of being. It all leaves an imprint. It all folds back someday. The more you think about it, the more human memory feels like an echo of cosmic law. We remember the things that matter most deeply, the ones that bend the shape of our lives, the ones that curve us inward, make us pause, make us whole again. Sometimes those memories hurt.
Sometimes they heal.
But even pain, like gravity, is a form of attachment. It's how we stay connected to what shaped us. Maybe then the folding of space is not a flaw or a distortion, but a necessity, the universe's way of keeping itself intact. And maybe our own remembering is part of that same effort. When we hold on to something, when we recall it softly in the dark, we are not clinging to the past. We are helping the cosmos preserve its continuity. Every thought, every love, every loss adds one more crease to the great fabric. And just as gravity keeps planets bound to their suns, memory keeps souls bound to their stories. We orbit what we cannot forget. If you could step outside the universe and look upon it whole, perhaps it would not look infinite at all. Perhaps it would look like a single vast fold, turning endlessly inward, a living origami of light, matter, and remembrance. Each galaxy a crease, each black hole a deep, quiet corner where the paper nearly touches itself. We spend our lives tracing those folds, searching for meaning in their pattern. Sometimes we find the same curve twice and realize we've returned to where we began. Wiser, slower, more complete. In that moment, space and memory become one. And maybe that's the secret the universe has been whispering all along. that time is not a line, but a loop. That space is not a void, but a vessel. That we are not drifting through it, we are woven into it endlessly, folded together like stars in a dream. So when you look at the night sky and feel something ancient stir inside you, remember, that's not nostalgia.
That's gravity. That's memory.
That's the universe folding itself around you like a thought it never meant to forget. They say nothing escapes a black hole. Not light, not sound, not time. But what if that isn't the full story? What if, deep within that darkness, the universe still whispers, quietly, faintly, like a ghost trapped between worlds? Every black hole has a boundary at the event horizon, the point where return becomes impossible. Cross it, and every path forward leads inward, as if space itself were pulling all directions toward a single destiny. It is the most absolute border in existence, the edge where physics bends until it nearly breaks, and yet,
even here, not everything is lost at this impossible boundary.
the universe performs its most haunting trick. Quantum mechanics, that restless whispering set of laws governing the smallest things, refuses silence. Particles flicker in and out of existence like tiny breaths born from nothing, vanishing into nothing. They do this everywhere, in empty space between atoms, even in the deep vacuum surrounding stars. But near the event horizon, those flickers meet destiny. Pairs of particles appear together. One slips inward, the other escapes outward. The escaped one carries energy away. The black hole, in turn, grows a little smaller. This faint, ghostly radiation was predicted by Stephen Hawking, and so it bears his name, Hawking radiation. It's as if the black hole exhales, not loudly, not brightly, but softly, a cosmic sigh into the void. Over eons, these sighs accumulate, slowly evaporating even the mightiest black holes into nothing but faint echoes of their former selves. And so the question arises, if a black hole can fade away, what happens to everything that once fell inside? The stars, the light, the data, the information. Is it truly gone? Physics tells us that information cannot be destroyed. Every atom that ever existed, every photon that ever danced, leaves behind a record in the grand mathematics of the universe. But black holes challenge that rule. They seem to consume without returning, to erase rather than transform. This puzzle is called the information paradox. It is one of the greatest mysteries in modern science, a riddle that splits the universe between what should happen and what seems to happen. Some physicists say the information is destroyed, that the laws of quantum mechanics fail inside the horizon. Others say it lingers, encoded somehow on the very surface of the event horizon itself, a cosmic hologram, storing everything that ever crossed its edge in patterns too subtle for our minds to see. Imagine that. Every moment of a star's life, every orbit, every shimmer of its atoms written across an invisible wall of space, a celestial archive, holding the memory of light itself. This idea led to the holographic principle, the strange and beautiful notion that our three-dimensional universe may itself be a kind of projection from a two-dimensional surface. Reality, then, might be a hologram of something deeper, something simpler, something that stores everything we are, not inside but on the edge. It's poetic, isn't it? That even at the brink of oblivion, the universe might still remember. That the ghosts within the event horizon are not lost souls, but preserved stories, encoded in the very skin of space-time. Hawking himself once wondered whether the black hole's faint radiation might carry subtle imprints of that information, like a whisper leaking from a sealed room. If so, then every black hole would not be a tomb, but a storyteller, its final breath releasing the tale of all it ever consumed, spread across the cosmos as a song of particles and light, We may never hear that song directly. The notes are too faint, the melody too long. Billions of years of decay are slow, fading into silence. But it is happening right now across the universe. Every black hole glowing faintly in the invisible.
A candle burning in reverse, its flame retreating into itself. And in that soft,
unseen light, there may be the final record of galaxies, planets, lives, and civilizations swallowed long ago.
ghosts, yes, Skinner, but not of the supernatural kind.
Ghosts of energy, of data, of truth, echoes of what once was, folded into the breath of space-time. It's humbling to realize even black holes die. Even the most powerful engines of destruction end not with violence, but with a whisper. The last moments of a black hole's life are slow, delicate, and full of memory. In its final evaporation, it releases everything it ever was, back into the sea of creation. So perhaps the event horizon is not a barrier, but a mirror, one that shows us the boundary between forgetting and remembering, between existence and silence. Every time you close your eyes and drift towards sleep, you too approach a kind of horizon, the edge where thoughts dissolve, where time loosens its hold. But even in that quiet darkness, nothing truly disappears. Dreams rise, memories shimmer, and consciousness folds back into itself, just like the universe does around a black hole. We too contain horizons.
Edges beyond which we cannot see, depths within which light cannot reach.
Yet even there something endures, a flicker of awareness, a soft hum of being, the same ghostly radiation that defines all existence. Perhaps that's the real meaning of the event horizon, that boundaries are illusions, that even where endings seem absolute, the universe finds a way to remember, to retell, to breathe once more. So when you gaze into the blackness between the stars and feel a quiet ache, know that you're looking into the oldest story ever written, a story of creation, consumption, and return, a story that ends where it begins, a story that waits patiently at the horizon, whispering, nothing is ever truly lost. Not light, not time, not you. Deep within the infinite shadows of the cosmos, there is a rhythm that persists, steady and almost imperceptible, like a pulse beneath the dark. Black holes, though silent to our senses, thrum with this hidden heartbeat. Their immense gravity, their invisible mass, their event horizons. These are not merely objects. They are the universe's way of keeping time, marking the slow cadence of creation and decay. Imagine the cosmos as a vast body and black holes as its deepest, most resonant chambers. Here time slows, stretching and compressing like a bowstring drawn taut across the fabric of space. And yet life, in every atom, in every photon, continues to flow, bending and curving around this central rhythm. To witness it is to sense that the universe itself is alive, not in the way of motion or fire, but in the subtle, steady pulse of gravity's inexorable song. Every black hole carries the memory of everything it has consumed. Stars, dust, entire solar systems, they all collapse into the singularity, not destroyed, but encoded within the curvature of space-time. It is a storage not of matter, but of energy, of pattern, of potential. In that sense, black holes are like the heart of a living organism, pumping the remnants of the cosmos through invisible channels, redistributing and conserving the essential rhythm of existence. And yet that rhythm is not simple or linear. It is layered, complex, and interwoven with the echoes of light and gravity from every corner of the universe. Gravitational waves ripple outward from colliding black holes, subtle distortions that vibrate through the cosmos, carrying with them the stories of unimaginable events, the memory of collisions that occurred billions of years before our own planet formed. These are the whispers of the universe's heartbeat, a song we are only beginning to hear, faint but unending. To feel the heartbeat of a black hole is to feel the persistence of time itself. Time, near the edge of the event horizon, behaves strangely. It slows, stretches, and eventually seems to stand still. From a distance, an observer would see anything approaching the horizon freeze, suspended in an eternal moment. From the inside, if such a place could be inhabited, time collapses inward, a single thread of infinity from which no past or future can be separated. It is here that the universe reveals one of its most profound truths. Even where all seems dark and absolute, there is still a pattern, a pulse, a memory that cannot be undone. The heartbeat beneath the darkness is not violent or loud. It is patient, deliberate, a quiet counting of everything that has been and will ever be. Philosophers and physicists alike have often marveled at this aspect of black holes. They are not merely destructive forces. They are agents of continuity, keepers of cosmic memory, carriers of information across time. The energy and matter absorbed by a black hole do not vanish entirely. They are transformed, stored, and sometimes released, in subtle ways, through Hawking radiation. Even in the apparent silence of a collapsing star, the universe is composing an intricate symphony, a score that stretches across the eons. We are part of that symphony, our lives and thoughts mere notes in an expansive melody that began long before the formation of Earth and will continue long after we are gone. In this way, black holes teach us about persistence, about the endurance of existence, and about the hidden connections that thread through the fabric of reality. Consider, too, the philosophical implications of this heartbeat. If the universe itself can hold memory in such concentrated, silent places, what does that mean for us? Perhaps every moment we live, every experience we remember, is another form of cosmic preservation. Our thoughts, our dreams, our acts of creation and compassion may not vanish into the void. Perhaps they ripple outward, leaving patterns that subtly shape the world around us. Just as the black hole absorbs, stores, and sometimes releases information, so too do we interact with the flow of time and memory, leaving echoes behind in ways we may never fully perceive. The heartbeat beneath the darkness becomes a mirror of our own inner pulse, a reminder that nothing truly ends, and that every action, every thought, every fleeting instant of awareness has a place in the ongoing rhythm of existence. Even the most solitary black hole does not exist in isolation. It influences the galaxies around it, orchestrates the motion of stars, bends the path of light, and distorts the flow of time. It is at once a singular entity and a central figure in a vast network of cosmic relationships. There is something profoundly comforting in this duality, that even in the deepest darkness, connection persists. The universe's heartbeat is not confined to one object, one point, or one moment. It resonates throughout everything, binding the microcosm to the macrocosm, the fleeting to the eternal. In this we glimpse a pattern that echoes through our own lives. The interdependence of all things, the unseen threads that link one existence to another, and the subtle forces that shape outcomes beyond our perception. As the universe ages, as stars die and black holes merge, as galaxies collide and scatter, the heartbeat continues. It persists through transformation and destruction, through collapse and rebirth, marking the passage of time with a rhythm that is both immutable and ever-changing. Perhaps, in some sense, it is the universe itself breathing, its pulse aligned with every motion, every collapse, every expansion. We cannot hear it with our ears, but it can be felt in the slow unfolding of events, the subtle shifts in energy, the gentle bending of light across space-time. To attune ourselves to this pulse is to recognize our place within the cosmos, to understand that even in darkness there is order, even in endings there is continuity, and even in silence there is life. And so when you gaze into the void, when you consider the black holes scattered across the universe, remember that beneath that impenetrable darkness lies a heartbeat, steady, patient, eternal. It is the cadence of existence itself, the whisper of infinity, the quiet persistence of everything that has ever been and will ever be. We are all, in some way, participants in this pulse, riding its rhythm without noticing, drawn along by its gravity. To understand the heartbeat beneath the darkness is to feel the universe's hidden life, to recognize the continuity of all things, and to glimpse the profound beauty that exists even in the deepest shadow. There are moments in the night when the cosmos feels not distant, but aware, as if the stars themselves were observing us. The light that reaches our eyes carries not just information about shape and color, but also a quiet testament of time, traveling billions of years to arrive here. Each photon is a messenger, a tiny envoy from the past,